Have you ever been scrolling through Facebook or Twitter and you see people talking about liberals? You see people mocking liberals, people being liberals, people intellectually debating liberalism, and I'm never quite sure which side I'm on. I find it all quite confusing. It seems to be a raging debate. Liberals, are they good or are they bad? And I'm definitely not here to tell you which way you should feel about it. But what might be useful in understanding is finding out where liberalism all started. Liberalism came about in the early 1800s while the Industrial Revolution was still causing dramatic changes throughout England. Working class people lived and worked in horrible conditions and had little opportunities in life. Education was only for the wealthy, voting was only for the wealthy, not working in factories since the age of 10 was only for the wealthy, but in comes liberalism. Liberalism, by definition, wants two things: to give the government enough power to protect individual freedoms, but also to stop those who govern from abusing that power. Knowing this, you can really see why liberalism popped up at this point in history. France had said bye to the bourgeoisie, America had said bye-bye Britain, but the most England had said bye to was some of its empire. Following this revolutionary age, and when so much of the population was still living in poverty, it was a perfect time for them to look at this government that didn't represent them and ask, what should our government be? Because I don't think this is it. One person who had a lot to say about this was UCL's own Jeremy Bentham. Bentham did not call himself a liberal, although there is a lot of discussion to say that he could be called one, but he called himself a utilitarian. Utilitarianism is a school of thought founded by Bentham himself and can be summed up with the view that it is the most happiness amongst the most people that is the measurement of right and wrong. It's easy to see how this philosophy led Bentham to advocate for what we would call liberal ideals. How can we achieve the greatest happiness amongst the greatest number if a large number of people suffer discrimination, or if Parliament doesn't represent those they govern? While utilitarianism and liberalism are not the same thing, the utilitarian way of thinking gave liberalism a focus and a set of goals, many of which were achieved in the following decades. The Whig Party, later the Liberal Party, came to power in the 1830s and reformed representation in Parliament, education, suffrage and working conditions. Based upon Bentham's liberal principles, University College London was founded in 1826 as the UK's first university to admit students regardless of religion. As UCL's spiritual founder, Bentham now resides in UCL's Student Centre at the heart of campus. UCL was founded as a direct rival to the only other universities in England at the time, the strictly Anglican Oxford and Cambridge. The foundation of UCL did not come without opposition, however, and just 3 years later, King's College London was founded on the Strand as UCL's Anglican rival in London. Thus began the now almost 200-year-old rivalry between UCL and KCL students, which saw years of mascot kidnapping and quad storming. The rivalry still exists today with events such as the UCL versus KCL Varsity series each year. So, to conclude, liberalism emerged out of a time when most people lived and worked in terrible conditions and discrimination was rife. Thinkers such as Bentham defined a new political movement which sought to bring greater equality to many aspects of society, most notably by improving representation in Parliament. Liberalism and liberalism's place in society has undoubtedly evolved over the past 200 years, but hopefully this look at where it all began will help us to understand what it is today.